everyone, it's Kathy and welcome back here to my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stampin', and back here in my craft room. As you can see, what I have in front of me is Stampin' Up! Is offering a one-day only free shipping on any order $75 or more. So if you have had your heart set on some items, but you just are one of those people that hates to pay for shipping, we've all gotten spoiled with Amazon, I have to admit, as well, and myself as well, but they do offer free shipping a couple of times a year. This is the day, which is Wednesday, June the 21st. So you're watching this video on Tuesday, tomorrow. So get your wish list together, get all your order numbers in line, and get ready to shop, because all day on June the 21st you can get free shipping. It doesn't take long to add up a $75 order, so it's a great time to get that free shipping. And also, don't forget, our designer series paper sale is going on during that period, so it's like a double blessing, because you're going to get 15% off of your designer series paper, and that's almost all of the paper in the catalog. It's on my website if you want to pull this flyer, not my website but my blog, and you can look at all the different ones. If you want this flyer, email me and request the paper sale flyer, and I'll be sure to drop this in your email so that you can look at it and decide which ones you want. I did have someone to ask me in my blog and on my Facebook, I'm sorry, my YouTube channel, about the Delightfully Eclectic, and that is an expensive pack of paper. It's normally $30, but it's on sale for $25.50 through the end of June. So, and if we can get free shipping on that, that's even better. But most of the papers are on sale for $10.62. Most of the ones that are $12.50 are on sale for $10.62. You can do the math, but the math has all been done for you on this flyer, and it has all the ones that are on there. One of the online exclusives is the Hello Irresistible, and that actually pairs with the Irresistible Bloom, which is beautiful. This is a die comes with this, as well as the stamp set, and then of course they have this paper as well. So that paper is on sale for $10.62, and it is a 6x6 pack, and I believe it's 48 sheets if I'm not mistaken. I know the Delightfully Eclectic is 12 by 12 double-sided, 4 of each design, and it is 48 sheets of that, so it's a huge pack of paper. So with all that being said, this is our new catalog. I'm not going to be pointing y'all to anything in the catalog today, because today's going to be a technique video, and I'm sorry my fan is going a little bit crazy up there. Let's lay a piece of grid paper down, and that will kind of reflect or not reflect that fan. I want to show you something that I discovered from another YouTube creator, and it was actually a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I saw this, and it was like, she didn't call it a 3 technique effect, but I'm going to tell you, this is a triple effect. It is dry embossing, it is heat embossing, and it's color blending, all on one piece of paper. And if I had to ask you what color paper you thought this was, I wonder if you'd be able to tell me. Well, I'm going to take the guesswork out of that, because I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to show you what color this is. It's crumb cake, and I embossed it using the Forever Fern embossing folder, and let me show you what that one looks like. That is, did I put that one away? No, here it is. That's this one right here. So I embossed using the 3D Fern, and that gave me my first coloring. Then I went back using this particular stamp from the Gorgeously Made, and I used this little it's almost like a text type stamp, and I stamped it in Versamark ink, which is our clear watermark stamp pad. And then I went back with gold embossing powder and sprinkled it over, and then set it with my heat tool. Then after that was all done, I went back with some colored inks, and I used my blending brushes, which this was one of the ones I used because I used Lost Lagoon. I used Moody Mauve. Let me just pull my colors that I used. So let's see, this one, did I use, maybe I didn't use boho. I thought I used boho blue. Maybe it was Pretty Peacock. Pretty Peacock, I think I used a Coastal Cabana, and I think that was the 3 colors I used, and that gave me this effect. It's very muted, but it's also very elegant with that gold on it. And we're going to do another one today. I'm going to do one, I have another crumb cake. Now you could use any color that you like. Now this one I just went ahead and already embossed it, and I used one of our 3D embossing folders, and I used, these are the online exclusive, they're the basic embossing folders. They are all 3D, and this is the one that has that little star pattern, as you can see on here. Beautiful embossing with those particular ones. I also want to show you, before we go any further, I want to show you 2 others that I did. I did a piece, this piece, and I just wonder if you can tell me what color paper this was. This was a different color, and I used some pastels on this. I used Coastal Cabana, Highland Heather, some Bubble Bath, and Lemon Lolly, and that gave me this effect. And I embossed it in silver because I did it on smoky slate, which is a beautiful gray, and I used the quadrifold foil embossing folder on this one. Equally pretty, just quite different, and you can see how different they are depending on what stamp set you use. And this one I used one from the Dainty Delight, and I used that tiny little flower with the grass on it. And I thought that one turned out really cute as well. And it just goes to show how versatile these can be. And now here's another one that I did. And again, can you tell what color paper I used? This one's more bold, but I really, really like this one. This one I used the mauve. I used Bubble Bath, the Moody Mauve, Bubble Bath, Boho Blue, and Pretty Peacock, and I think that was it. Those were the colors I used on that. And this particular embossing folder was the Exposed Brick 3D embossing folder, and you can see that brick showing through on this one. And this one I used just some dots, and I used the dots from the Irresistible Blooms. So the dots right here, that's what I used on this one. And again, I did it in gold, and I thought this is probably one of my favorites. I have one more, but I wasn't crazy about this. This is a great way to kind of experiment. Now, some might like this. I just used the leaves out of that Irresistible Bloom. I used these leaves, and I did the embossing folder that is called Metal Plate, the 3D embossing folder, and I used much softer colors on this one. I used Pool Party, the Lemon Lolly, the Bubble Bath, and I think that might have been it. The Pool Party showed up a lot darker with going over top of some of the other inks that I had put down, but I love the way that turned out too. I wasn't crazy about the embossing on this one. I think if I'd embossed it with the dots or something, I think this would have been pretty too, but I didn't care for the big flowers on that one. But you might love that one. So, you know, it just different things, different people like different things. Okay, if you notice, all these are cut down. I cut these down to fit on a card base, but I started off with a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of cardstock, and then I dry embossed it using whichever embossing folder you like. And then we're going to do our heat embossing. So for my heat embossing, I think this time I'm going to go with my little splatters, and again, that's that Irresistible Bloom and these splatters right here. I think the splatters really lend something to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm just going to ink this up, and we're going to just do splotches of it. And if you notice, I'm not doing a excuse me, I'm not doing the powder tool on this because I don't care if I get some extra flecks here and there. With this technique, it doesn't matter. You just want to put your ink down all over your piece and let it be splotchy and splattery as much as you can, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that splatters of gold fleck all over this. And this one I am going to do it in gold because for some reason the crumb cake just lends itself really well to the gold embossing powder. So we're going to go there and just keep stamping. And you know, you can turn your paper or your cardstock to get more of your coloring on there. And you probably aren't seeing that it's doing much. I can see a little bit in the camera. That's not too bad. So just keep putting it down until you feel like you've got a good amount just where you want it. And I'm going to come up into here just a little bit like that. Okay, I'm going to try that, and then we can always go back and add some more dots if we need to. So I'm going to go ahead and grab out my gold embossing powder, and I'm going to try to be as careful with this as I possibly can. I'm going to use a pair of my reverse tweezers so I can just grab hold of the edge of it, something like this. And y'all know whenever you do dry embossing, it breaks down the fibers in your paper, so your paper becomes a little more delicate. And then let's put some up here and a little bit right there. Make sure we got them all covered. And after I've done this, I can see where I have missed some spots. But that's okay. We can always go back after we get this one heat embossed. So I'm going to lay that right there. And I'm going to use, I have a big sweep brush, and I like to use this just to get any excess powder back into my container. That's the good thing about using a container like this. Of course, it does take more than one bottle of embossing powder to fill that up. But now I'm going to move this out of my way and make sure I don't have any embossing powder on my glass mat. Definitely don't want to heat emboss embossing powders onto my mat, so that would make quite a mess. So I'm just sweeping it off really well. And now I'm going to take my heat tool, and I had this warming a few minutes ago, so hopefully it won't take too long to heat it up, and we should be able to start embossing pretty quickly. So I'm going to start down here. That looks really pretty. I love the way that turned out. Thank goodness we have fast forward, or that would have been like watching paint dry. I do want to put a couple more specks right in here, and maybe here, and a little bit right there. So I'm just going to go back in with my stamp, and I'm going to bring out that piece of paper again to put under here. And then I want to set this down right about like that. And then maybe right here. And right on this corner. Maybe a little bit right there on that corner. Okay, I think that's all we're going to need with that. So again, I'm going to slide that over here. And let's bring this embossing powder back up. And I want to be very careful where I hold it at now, because I don't want to smudge anywhere that I needed that embossing powder to go. I think we needed some right in there. A little bit right there. And I think a little bit right there. Is that it? Now what you have to be careful about is not to touch that embossing powder that hasn't been set yet, because if you do, you will wipe it off with your finger and then you'll have to redo it again. I'm going to tap that off a little bit right there, and then I'm going to use that brush again just to help me sweep this into my container. Actually got a little bit on the edge of my container, so that was why I had to tap it onto my desk so I could get it off of there. Alright, so now we're going to go back in. Let me do this one more time just to make sure we don't have any embossing powder. And get that heat tool. It shouldn't take as long this time because it's already warm, and we can see where we need to heat emboss. That was a lot quicker than the first go round. So now we can go ahead and do some ink blending. So this is where the real magic takes place, when you start putting that ink down. So for this one, I'm going to grab my okay, I think I already have it. Let's see. I want the Pool Party, the Moody Mauve, and the Boho Blue. I think those are the three colors that I want to use on this one. And I think, no, wait a minute. I want Lost Lagoon. And I don't have, I want Lost Lagoon instead of that one. Boho Blue and Lost Lagoon right here. So there are our three colors, and they are so pretty. These are, all four of these are new colors. The Moody Mauve and the Boho Blue are our new in colors, and then of course the Lost Lagoon is a color that they brought back. So I'm going to start out with my Moody Mauve, and let's grab our piece of paper to put under it and open up our ink pad, and I'm just going to tap 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 pretty significantly in that. Now this is a new juicy ink pad, so it's going to load up a lot more ink than it normally would. So I just want to go really lightly. I'm just barely touching that cardstock, but I'm going to make some swirls like up and around, similar to that, and then back down like that. And see, we've already got a streak of color in there. Now we'll probably come back with some more of this, but now I want to go in with the Boho Blue, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tap and then tap off, and then I'm going to come in on this side, and I'm doing it very lightly and just put down some of that blue, and see how subtle it is. I'm just going to cross over top of that mauve line, just like that. There's something about that Moody Mauve and the Boho Blue. They blend together, and it sort of gives you that purple tint that's so pretty. So by using the different colored inks, you can get more than one color. You know, two colors will give you a third color without too much effort. Alright, I want to come back in again with a little bit more. Now let's go ahead and do some Lost Lagoon, and then we'll come back with the mauve. So, and I don't have a brush for every color. I have it for the family. So this is my greens, my blues, my pinks, and I use those for whatever I'm needing my colors for. So I'm going to come right in here, and I'm just going to swirl some color in. Like that. And there's really no right or wrong way to do this. You just want to make sure you're getting color onto your cardstock and blending your colors in and out. And it just makes such a beautiful effect. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave that one open, and I'm going to open my Moody Mauve back up, and I'm going to come in here. I just want a little bit more depth of that mauve-y color. I love that color, it's so pretty. And let's come up on this corner and just put a little bit right there. And why not a little bit right down here? Now we're going to do the same thing with the Lost Lagoon. I want to bring up a little bit of color into here. And let's close these up and then grab our boho blue, and we are going to put a little bit more of that blue down, maybe a little right here, and a little bit more right here, and I'm getting a little heavier now with it because I want a little bit more saturation of that blue color right through there. Just like that. And that one is done. Very muted. It has that very muted looking color, but all the same, it is just as pretty as the other ones. So I'm going to clean off my brushes a little bit right here, just to lift a little bit of that ink off before I put them away. And those colors absolutely were beautiful on there. So what do you think? Isn't that gorgeous? It's very muted, but it's also a beautiful background, and it was all done on crumb cake. A little something right there. But I thought that turned out beautiful. Now I'm going to show you the other ones again. There's the one done in silver with some more pastel colors. That was the first one I did. As you can see, these colors are very similar. And then there's the one I did in the much brighter colors. And push these up a little bit. And then this one I did on white. And like I said, I think I would have loved this one if I had done some splotches rather than doing the leaves. So I want to show you one other thing before we go. And we're going to make a card. But this one, I want to show you when you cut this down, because you have really broke the fibers down in this paper by dry embossing, and then doing the heat embossing on it, and then going back and doing the ink blending. The fibers of this paper broke down quite a bit. So when you get ready to cut this down, what I like to do to get my harsh edges off, I like to cut it, bring it in a half of a quarter, which is 1/8, line it up, and come in halfway, and sink that blade down in there and cut up and down. The reason I'm saying that, if you just come up from the bottom with the weakened fibers, you can rumple the paper as you're cutting it. If you start in the middle, I'm going to turn it around this way, and this time I can line it up to 4, and then I'm going to bring my blade to the middle, press down on it, go up and then down. That way you don't take the risk of crumpling your paper. Now your paper might still fray a little bit, but if that's one thing. It's totally another when you get it when it ripples. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here about 1/8 of an inch, bring the blade up in the middle, sink it up and down, and then we're going to turn it, and this time we're going to line it up at 5 1/4. Oh, that looks like it did. Perfect. Okay. Let's see if we need anything off of that edge. It does look like it needs just a hair, so I'm going to line it up right into the track, and I'm going to sink my blade up and down. See, that rumpled a little bit anyway. This is what I was talking about. If you turn it over on that side and do it, you won't get the rumpling quite as bad. Or if you feel comfortable with doing it with your scissors, you can very easily just take off that little teeny bit off of the edge like that. But it will rumple on you if you aren't careful, and you don't do it from the back and do it from the middle. I did this from the middle and it still did it, but I was doing it on the front side rather than the back, and I really should have made sure I did that on the back. So don't let that happen to you. Try to make sure that you cut it in the right way. So now looking at this, what would be a pretty base? Of course the mauve would be gorgeous. This one I think looks absolutely stunning on the mauve. This one here I think just screams for that mauve. I love it on that. This one, I haven't cut this one down yet, and like I said, that was just done on white. That one you could get away, but I think it would look much better maybe on a lemon, the lemon lolly, or the bubble bath. This one I think you could get away with it on the mauve, because we've got enough of that pink in there that it picks it up and it's beautiful. But this is the one I want to do because this is the one we made today. So I am going to adhere this to this card base, and I'm going to use, I don't want to wet this paper anymore, so I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal. And I'm just going to run some Stampin' Seal across it like so. Oops, I hate it when that happens. Again, this is because the fibers of this paper have been broken down, and it makes your paper weaker. So anytime you do embossing like that, you're going to have some weakening to your paper. Checking to make sure I got that on the right side. And I'm going to adhere this down right about here. Give that a press. I'm going to open it and press it from this side. Now we're ready to put a sentiment on the front, and I think what I want to do, I really want something, I want to feature that mauve on the front of my card, so let me grab a piece of the Moody Mauve. And there's a piece right there I think will be gorgeous. And I want to, I'm going to look at my timeless arrangements, because I'm thinking what I really would like to do is die cut a piece of this and then use some of the green, maybe the boho blue, and get some of the greenery like this. And I think I'm going to cut that one twice, and maybe I'll just cut those two out of the mauve, or not the mauve, I'm sorry, the Lost Lagoon. That's what I wanted to use, the Lost Lagoon. I am trying to talk and think at the same time, and evidently I'm not doing good at either one. So I'm going to bring up my embossing machine. I'm going to lay these out of my way, because this is going to be the card that we're going to work with today. And I am going to lay this on there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat emboss in gold our sentiment. I think that would be precious on this card. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment first. So I want to find, how about our hello out of this one? I love the font on this particular stamp set. That one's not going to fit. So let's use, how about Hooray It's Your Day? That would be pretty. And I think that will fit in there. Yep. So that's what I like to do. I like to make sure that my sentiment is going to fit on my die before I go any further. I'm going to do something a little bit off of the norm. I'm going to trim that extra rubber off of the edge of my stamp, because that can sometimes pick up what we get when we get those shadows, and sometimes they just need to be trimmed, and it doesn't hurt the stamp whatsoever. If anything, it just helps ensure that your stamping is going to look much better when you get ready to do it. Okay, we got those off, so I'm gonna skedaddle that into my trash can. Let's move this over here. Let's go ahead and do our heat embossing with that hello, or hooray, it's your day. On this one I am going to use my powder tool because I don't want embossing powder where I don't want embossing powder. So I am going to use my tool, and I'm just going to rub it all over top of this. This is an anti-static tool because the embossing powder will stick wherever there's a fingerprint or anything like that. So that helps ensure that I'm not going to get embossing powder anywhere except where I want it. So I am going to take this and I'm going to stamp that right in the middle. And that looks decent. I think we can get some gold embossing powder to stick to that. So let's see. This being a smaller piece, it'll be much easier to bring this over and get it right over top of our embossing powder and tap it off. And tap it. Just like that. And now we can go ahead and heat set that. Let me do my little sweep here again, just to make sure. I didn't feel like I got any embossing powder that time, but I wanted to make sure. So I am going to take my heat tool again, and I really feel, well, that's okay. Again, this should do pretty quickly because the heat tool is already hot. Oh, look how quick that went. That's going to be very pretty. So I'm going to let that cool just for a minute while I go ahead and cut those out. So we need some Lost Lagoon. I'm looking in my scrap bin to see what I've got. I always like to use my scraps if I have them. And I do have one there. I don't know that we're going to get both of those off of this one. Nope. I'm going to need to grab another piece. Let's see. Yep, definitely. I don't think, maybe. Nope, it is not going to play. So I'm going to look and let me grab a piece of the Lost Lagoon. Okay, there we go. We have a piece big enough now that we should be able to get both of these out of this piece. So let's see what we need here. About like that. So I'm going to cut off a strip that is about 2 inches wide. I think that will get it for us. So I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to line this up so I can see exactly where I need it. Maybe about 2.5. Rather have a little bit too much than not enough. Alright, so now we can go ahead and pull out our embossing machine. And I'm going to set this about like this. I know you won't be able to see everything, but this should work fairly well. And I'm going to grab my plates, and I have my #1 base plate. I have my die adapter plate. I have a cut plate, and I have my cardstock with my pieces. And we don't have to line this up, so I'm not going to tape these down. I'm just going to lay one right here and one right here. and I'm going to cover it and crank it through. Just like that. Okay, so these should be cut. I'll lay those off, and now I'm going to grab this piece and the framelit that I want to use it behind it or around it. And this is a stitched framelit, so I need this to make sure that it is framing this perfectly on both sides. So this piece I am going to use a post-it flag just to make sure it holds where I want it. And then put a cover plate over, and I'm going to crank this back through. Like so. And that piece is done, so we can go ahead and move our plates in our machine. And this card should be just about ready for us to put together. And I thought these pieces would be so cute to pick up that other color, and these are going to be gorgeous because you can put one down under it and one over top of it, and they are just puts a beautiful effect on your cards. And this is that timeless arrangement. And what's so nice about this is these little strips here help you center everything behind your sentiment. So you have your piece like that, and then you can just put this down just like that, and then this piece up like that, and then you have a beautiful little spray of flowers or greenery on your card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to run, I think I'm just going to use Stampin' Seal since I have it right here. And I'm going to run a piece there and a piece down there, like that. And I want this one to go to the bottom, so I'm going to line that up right about there. And then this one I want to go to the top. I do have some little pieces in there. Let's see if we can poke those out. There we go. And now this piece can go up to the top, something like that. And now this whole piece can go down on dimensionals, and we can put that right into the middle of our card. And I think I might want to do a piece of ribbon. So let's see. Oh, look at this Lost Lagoon ribbon. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to do ribbon because it's just too pretty not to. So I'm going to take a piece off about like that, and I'm going to lay it just like this into my Stampin' Seal. And if it's not quite enough of Stampin' Seal, you can always grab your glue dots, and I'm just going to grab one glue dot. I'm just using it on my finger because that will give me just what I need here to put this ribbon down on, and that adheres it right there where it will kind of be there. And now we'll put our dimensionals on. And I'm going to put one dimensional right there and another one right here, and I think I might put one right there in the middle just where the ribbon's at, and that should be enough to hold everything in place. So now we can bring this over and line this up. You know, I really wanted it to go like that. That's okay. I should have took it up that way, but that's all right. I'm going to use the ribbon to actually set this down in. And we could sit it, if you wanted to, you could do it at an angle like that. Or we can do it straight like this. What do y'all think? I think I like it like that. We'll cut those tails a little bit. So just like that, and now I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm going to cut this ribbon, and I want to angle it just a little bit. One tail a little shorter than the other. And isn't that a beautiful card? And we made that background paper ourselves. How beautiful is that card? Hooray, it's your day. And then we can put a very pretty birthday sentiment inside. And I think what I'm going to do is maybe even do a crumb cake inside and stamp a really pretty big happy birthday. So I'm not sure who this card is going to go to at this point, but whoever it does, I'm sure that they're going to love it because it turned out spectacular. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope that this will be a technique that you might want to use. And don't forget, we have all of these other ones that we can still make cards out of. And how beautiful are they? All made from the same technique of dry embossing, heat embossing, and then ink blending. Aren't they beautiful? If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please think about doing so. Also, if you're interested in any of the products that I used in the making of this video, please reach out to me. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I would absolutely love the opportunity to earn your business, answer any of your questions you have. You can reach me via email, or you can text me at my number that's listed below this video, also on my blog post. There'll also be a tutorial, PDF tutorial on my blog post showing exactly how I made this card, all of the items that I used to make it, along with the order number. So thanks again so much. Don't forget, free shipping is tomorrow. So if you have a wish list, this is a wonderful time to go and shop. Free shipping. Everybody loves that. God bless and keep you. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy. Until next time, take care and God bless.